1 Timothy 5:18, which is quoting Luke, and what that tells you is that there was already an acceptance of what was authoritative, because they're quoting even New Testament books. The fifth fact, which Kruger points out, is the four Gospels were well established. When it comes to the basic facts which we live, and four principal winds, and the cherubim too were four-faced. So even early on there was a sense that the four Gospels were authoritative. Fact number 6, the Moratorium fragment lists 22 of the 27 New Testament books. He writes, of course, it should be acknowledged that the Moratorium canon also seemed to affirm the Apocalypse of Peter. However, the author of the fragment immediately expresses that some have hesitation about this book. Those hesitations eventually won out, and the Apocalypse of Peter was never widely affirmed by the early church. It never earned a final spot in the canon. The fact that there was some disagreement during this time period over a few peripheral books should not surprise us. It took some time for the issue of the canon to be settled. This occasional agreement, however, should not keep us from observing the larger and broader unity that early Christians shared regarding the core of the New Testament books. So the Moratorium fragment is basically saying very early on that out of the 27 books, 22 were firmly established and accepted. There was a few of the New Testament books that people were still discussing. But what that tells you is very early on there was a belief of the general core of the New Testament as accepted. The next fact is early Christians often used non-canonical writings, but what's often not stated by scholars, which needs to be told, is that there is definitely it's often used by modern scholars and people who are arguing against the New Testament that, look, the early church fathers quoted apocryphal books, so therefore they were not as clear about what the New Testament was. But J.A. Brooks, for instance, has observed that Clement cites the canonical books about 16 times more often than the apocryphal and patristic writings. When it comes to Gospels, the evidence is even better. Clement cites apocryphal Gospels only